Let's watch it. English voice actors are going into hiding. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs.
The situation surrounding this Dandadan edit, as well as the voice actor AJ Beckles, the English voice actor for Okrun in Dandadan, is actually continuing to proliferate. Things are still getting even crazier. If you haven't seen my prior videos on this topic, please consider watching them for additional context. Otherwise, you're definitely going to be out of the loop with everything that's happened. Another important thing to note regarding these sort of edits is that tensions have been building for literal years. I saw some people.
It really isn't helping that there's a lot of streamers, nuisance streamers, who happen to be black that are doing really, really heinous shit and putting a lot of attention on black people in Japan as well. Yeah, like, you really didn't pick the best time, man.
People thinking that this was like the first time this sort of situation has occurred, and that's absolutely not the case, as what we're seeing happen now is really the culmination of Asian artists being sick of double standards and sick of how they've been getting harassed for literal years by the same groups of people that have these double standards, which is also something that I've been covering routinely on this channel for years. So many of you are probably very familiar with this stuff. But just to very quickly give a few previous examples, there was a situation where an Asian artist drew Nessa, and Nessa was depicted.
I remember this. Yeah, they drew Nessa with lighter skin. Even though everything's lighter, chat. Literally everything. All her hair, her, like, eyes, everything is completely, like, lightened. It's watercolor, too, by the way.
Lighter than she's usually depicted, to which this artist received tremendous harassment. Another time, there was an artist who drew Kaya from Genshin Impact, and similarly, this artist was accused of lightening.
It's called color theory, man. Like, Jesus, dude.
Kaya, to which this artist received also tremendous harassment, but on top of that, a bunch of people on Twitter ripping this person's art and editing Kaya to be darker than this artist depicted them as. Eventually, that artist deleted their entire account. There was another situation where an artist drew Kaya from Genshin Impact as well as D-Luke and some of the female characters. Maybe that's like Jean and Lumine or something. And as you can see, the art is literally in black and white.
It's grayscale! That's a form of art! What are we doing? They had grayscale movies because that was their art form. Like, what? What?
But that didn't stop these weirdo Twitter police, these terminally online freaks, from harassing this artist, saying that they didn't draw Kaya dark enough, despite once again the art literally being in black and white. And they insulted this artist and took the art, editing it to make Kaya black.
Oh my god, man. It's black and white. It's grayscale. It's just color, man. Like, what are we doing? Twitter freaks are insane. For
some reason, they also made D-Luke black as well, seemingly just to mess with and harass the artist. The artist even asking him to stop, to which they doubled down, and ultimately the artist decided to delete their entire account. As you can see from one of the final tweets that artist made, they were talking about how these people were causing them tremendous amounts of stress, and all they wanted to do was post the art that they made for people and themselves to enjoy. There's actually even more to that situation without jumping down the entire rabbit hole, but one of the main people who harassed that artist would go on throughout the years to harass numerous other artists, also make a bunch of alt accounts where they would harass people and continually play victim, and doing this really weird thing where they would constantly change their age. Sometimes they would say they're like 16, then they'd say they're 13, things like that. And a lot of people would defend this person, saying like, oh, they're just making edits, it's not a big deal. But eventually they became so notorious for all of this stuff, including one of the final situations being when they harassed a Lumine artist and tried to get her to take her life, that nobody was defending this person anymore. And they had been completely exposed by various people on Twitter, including myself in a video that I made covering the situation, and the harasser getting a taste of.
Bro, if you're a minor and you're doing this, you should at least get some sort of punishment. You can't just get away with it because you're a serial harasser because you're like 13, 14, 15 years old. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not saying they should get like a death penalty, but like, I don't know, permaban them off of social media until they're like 18 or something. Like, you're showing signs of being an unhinged individual, man. Like,
their
what
own
the
medicine,
fuck?
and going on to delete every single one of their accounts. I'll give you one more final example here as something that's a little bit different from the sort of things that we've covered
Where are
so
the
far,
parents,
and then we'll
man?
move on to the current news. So in this final example, there was an Asian artist who drew ship art of Genshin Impact characters, to which they got
Okay.
harassed for simply drawing straight ship art. The people
But if the shoe is on the other foot and someone gets harassed for having gay art ships, that's the end of the world. You're allowed to do what you want, man. It's the internet, but like, holy fuck, man. Yeah, Hoyoverse at it again.
harassing them, all offended that this artist was not
So
drawing Yuri.
weird, man.
To be quite frank, all this stuff is so petty and stupid that even just explaining it is making me like in disbelief, even though I've talked about this stuff before. It's just all so weird, man. I seriously don't know what's wrong with these Twitter police types of people. And keep in mind, those are only a few examples of videos I've made covering this sort of thing for years. There's probably well over a dozen videos I've got on topics like this. And so
What's really weird is I remember when girls at school would talk about like Tumblr and shipping and all that stuff, and I learned about it. There was never like a giga discourse on like characters being gay or like straight or like having your favorite ship and it mattering what their sexuality was, as long as it's like under the same umbrella of a fandom. Yeah, I don't know. Something happened. It's just like this weird pseudo political, like, fuck the straights, and like you can't enjoy things for what they are, or like making things like into different things. Yuri shippers are the most toxic of all shippers. I have no idea personally. I didn't really engage with that much. I drew yaoi at school when I was 12 and 13, and then I stopped because I was like, this is kind of lame. I just completely stopped. I had a friend that got me into it, and then like I stopped being friends with her, and I was like, okay, never mind, this is lame. I only did it because I'm friends with her. But yeah, it's just like...
So after years of this stuff going on,
yeah,
people are
yaoi
sick
girls
of
are
artists getting
serious,
harassed
man.
for drawing a character a bit lighter, etc., and the double standards that Twitter police have when they're darkening characters. This once again now taking us to the recent situation with the Dandadan art, and how many people in Japan were calling this a racist depiction, to which the English voice actor for Okarun changed his
Why would you ever do that, man? Given all given all the problems that have arisen in the last, like, what is it, like 3-4 months, why would you... Yeah, English VAs, am I right, fellers?
profile pic to
All my fellas.
that depiction of Okarun with a darkened skin, but it being a very momentary thing, I believe lasting less than 24 hours, as many people in Japan began to call for this person to lose their job, and other people dug up racist tweets that this voice actor had made, once again pointing out double standards. The Japanese tweet demanding for AJ to lose his job now has over 127,000 likes on Twitter and over 62 million views on Twitter.
Again, losing your job over a profile picture. Dude, this is wild to me. It's genuinely wild. Look, 62 million. We probably can't see it. It's like right at the bottom. 62 million impressions.
Comparison, just 2 days ago when I talked about
Japan
that
is
situation, that tweet had
pissed.
around 17,000 likes. In other words, the situation, as mentioned previously, is continuing to proliferate, and AJ has also taken his next action as well, that being deleting his entire
Yep.
Twitter account,
And
although
going to
it
Blue
does seem to
Sky.
be a temporary thing based off statements that he has made on his Blue Sky account that we'll take a look at in a moment. Before we do that, here's some of the responses at the top from Japanese people. This one reading, instead of taking over Japanese works, he should create original manga with black protagonists. A rather upset response to that would read, oh my bad, I didn't know they broke into the author's office, held him at gunpoint, and hijacked the manga, forcing for all the characters to be made black. It's one small piece of art, y'all are whining like losers for real. To which another Japanese person says, not everything must be about you, draw your own characters. If you change something, you want to make it better. Means you think original version is inferior. You invalidate Japanese people's feelings and call the art small. You don't like if we make black characters Asian, right?
Point.
Another one saying, honestly, I just want anime to be entertaining. The original creators are the ones who breathe life into the characters after all.
And imagine being the author, the mangaka who made this art and just seeing this all unfold and it not just being about his art or his, you know, his work, and it being about fucking race and shit. Imagine how that must make you feel, man.
And this one saying, the character that the author brought to life is removed, and someone else is introduced. I would like people to understand that if they have no respect for the work, they should not get involved, and that excessive action will only create further division. It seems like if the harassment and double standard stuff wasn't occurring for years, that the tensions would not be so high right now. And
90% of the time, the people that do like edits and shit, they don't even like manga. They just do it to like get Twitter clout or attention 99% of the time. It's so cringe.
It's not even just Japanese people who are sick of the double standards. There's been a lot of people in the West of various demographics, including lots of black people talking about how they're also sick of these double standards. That takes us to AJ's Blue Sky account where he says, I deactivated my Twitter so the racists have nothing to interact with. Don't worry.
What about the black people that side with the Japanese and say that they should leave them alone and be like, hey, like, stop trying to change everything. It's not okay to do this and also threaten people over not having, for example, black characters in manga or anime. Yeah, my internalized racism. That's right. Yeah, we're Uncle Tom's. It's very, very sad to still hear that word being unironically used in the year 2024 by black people against other black people. Truly, like, it's just kind of jarring.
Great, I'm fine, guys. As well as, yo boy will be back soon. Maybe he really did deactivate just because of these racist messages that he's referring to. However, when there's a tweet with over 100,000 likes from Japanese people calling for him to lose his job over the recent incident, as well as other people digging up racist tweets that he had made in the past, it's caused—
Yeah, I mean, again, the tweet itself is insane to me. Where he says that white people shouldn't voice act black people. What if it's a black-coded character? Are you not allowed to voice act them as well? It just opens up so many doors to, like, it adds layers of just, like, complications when it should just be a free form of art, if that makes sense. Like, because some people argue that there's characters in Dragon Ball Z, even though they are aliens or they're not black, white, Asian, or whatever, or brown, they are black coded, therefore, like, what if it's in that situation? Like, what do you have to make it about? Why do you have to make it about identity politics? Exactly. It's like, what?
A lot of people to speculate
What are we
if
doing?
he's just trying to dodge that stuff. As always, of course, come to your own conclusions. Something else that I find very interesting is that so far we've actually seen a lack of other voice actors defending AJ. Previously, during situations like this where a controversial situation is going viral in the VA space on social media, it would be very common to see a number of other voice actors also getting involved. And yet that doesn't seem to be the case right now. Let me know why you think that might be. Perhaps some of them are actually in disagreement with AJ, or maybe they see how many people in Japan are calling AJ out, and they want to avoid that also potentially happening to them. Of course, there's also been this ongoing situation with SAG-AFTRA and general concerns that voice actors have about potentially being replaced by AI voices. So maybe now a lot of them are—
I mean, there's a lot of jobs that are getting replaced by AI. It's not just voice acting.
Instead just trying to play things
safe
instead of getting involved in controversies like they used to, or at the very least dialing it back a bit. And lastly, regarding the person who made the Okarun Momo edit to begin with, there would be other concerns raised by various artists on Twitter. For example, this tweet got over 14,000 likes that reads, "So much controversy over this, but my concern is that they sell paintovers/edits of other people's art. Putting all the racism debate to a side, someone who steals art and sells getting 40k plus followers for it is just sad." What's being
That is actually foul. You're selling copyrighted art, recoloring it, and making money off of it, which is also illegal by Japanese law, apparently. I mean, again, I don't know if it'll ever go to court or anything like that, but like from a moral standpoint, this is actually like really nasty. Just because it's like fan art and stuff, like you can't sell fan art either. It depends. Some companies will go after you for selling fan art on a mass-produced scale because you don't own the copyright. But this is like... Because the thing is, this is a paint over as well. It's not an original, what is it called? Like a pose or like... It's literally traced and painted over. Yeah, this is not... gosh, wish I could find it. Hold on. Power chainsaw man. Edit. Yeah, like this, for example. They just literally painted it over. This is a manga panel that exists already, and they painted it over. It's not an original. They painted this over to give her dark skin and different colored hair and different, like they gave her braids and stuff and a different hairstyle. This is the original. Like, the original is underneath it, which is really, really, really bad. Is this illegal? Yeah, technically it is. I don't know if they'll ever go to court over it, but it's from a moral standpoint. You're not even making original art.
Can refer to as how that person apparently sells black edits for $15 a piece.
They
respond saying, watching this dumpster fire unfold is just sad in general. Sending love to the animators because I never saw anyone talk about this. To which the OP says, people are blinded by hatred, and of course no one has any respect for animators because it's quote-unquote official art. As if it just magically appears and people don't work on it for hours. The other person saying, the more you think about this whole situation, the more things come to mind. No hate, of course. Unfortunately, it doesn't appear magically, and they have to work on it for hours and then get overlooked constantly. People attempting to find a middle ground here somewhat. As another response reads, OP can draw. I slid through the media thinking the same thing, because let's be real, that's an edit, not a fan art. Hopefully she sells art and not edits. Fan arts are more appreciated than edits. And the OP ending by saying, very talented kid, I really hope they start making originals and sell those. That certainly does seem
because at least it's original art. You're not just painting over a piece of art. Like, I did a lot of photography editing, and you can't sell something that you didn't take a picture of without either explicitly saying that you took like stock art and images and made something into something else and paid for it yourself and then resold it. You can't just like paste like you just painted over it.
A wise suggestion, and hopefully things regarding this topic overall can get a more positive conclusion. However, for that to happen, people will need to start being more honest about the double standards that are out there, instead of being in denial about them and or using them as some faux justification to harass people. But as always, let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you for tuning in, and if you enjoyed my coverage, consider liking and or subscribing. Appreciate ya, and I'll see you in the next one.
That was cringe. It's up to Visby if they want to take it to court. Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't think this will go to court. I just think, as an artist or a person who likes to draw and like look at art and appreciate it, I think this is very scummy. Like, you're selling.
Sells black.
Literally, just like, imagine someone took the Mona Lisa and then painted over it, and there's like, yeah, this is mine now. Okay, here you go. Can I have $15? Oh, you want this? Okay, here's your $15. They didn't draw a rendition of Mona Lisa. That's totally cool.